Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me as always is Ben Slinger.
Hello! Yes, Bitstorm. Again, let's do it.
Okay, so I've decided that we're doing ramped up click pitch tonight. You want to tell our listeners about what ramped up click pitch is?
Non-ramped up click pitch is a game where we each take a random word generator and on the count of 3, 2, 1 click, we click refresh and get a random word and put them together and turn them into a game design. And to ramp that up, we actually get 2 words, an adjective and a noun. And just to make it a bit more interesting and put a bit more of a spin on those words. And we just riff it back and forth, figure out the game mechanics, figure out the story, and then we throw it away. Do it again.
Yep, that's what we do.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Click. Fond Grizzly.
Fond Grizzly. Okay, I have descriptive handle. So, I mean, grizzly, I go to the bear.
Yep.
The breed of bear, the grizzly bear, the large, monstrous. Well, I shouldn't be rude.
No.
Dangerous. I will say dangerous. Breed
He's
of bear.
fond, so.
Well, he's fond of something.
Someone's fond of it.
Maybe he's fond of his handle.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe this grizzly is like a science experiment in which a mad scientist, basically installed handles into the bear so someone could ride the bear.
It's like grafted them to its, shoulder bones, shoulder blades.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a bear motorcycle, basically. It's like a bear bike.
Yeah, what I'm sort of picturing now, because you've sort of said bear motorcycle and that sort of stuff, I'm picturing almost like a Tony Hawk's game in which you can just get on the bear and do like tricks and shit. And then, hop off kind of like in Tony Hawk's Underground.
But then you have to run
do something
because the bear will kill you.
Especially if you made it fall.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's just not real happy with you on its back, but if you've got hold of the handles, you've got like full control over the bear. But once you get off, it's not being handled anymore. And so you got to run. So that could actually be quite interesting because there could be areas in the game where you have to get off, like to solve, to get the objective. And then it becomes, like an infinite runner or something, basically. Or it's just like a dodging game, like it's one of those Crash Bandicoot levels where you're running towards the camera or something. I don't know. Yeah,
and the bear's just chasing you until you can get up high enough to drop back down on the bear, grab hold of the handles, and you're controlling it again.
Yeah, either that or you go through something narrow enough that the handles get stuck. Like you can't get through because the handles are sticking out to the side. Yeah.
So what I'm really liking about this is, you kind of got like that will they, won't they?
Like Ross and Rachel.
Will the bear eat Derek? Or won't Derek, do something else? I don't know. I
really
couldn't think of anything.
Shove that sentence together there. And so what's Derek's goal? Just do rad tricks? Just get points?
Well, I think Derek was actually like another of the mad scientists.
It was like a PhD student.
Yeah, either a PhD student or he was originally, but then started getting experimented on.
Oh, he's been experimented on too.
Yeah.
He has little pedals on grafted to his feet that interlock into the bear. They go together as a pair. It's like those racing bikes how you have to strap yourself in. I don't know.
So I've been watching the Marvel movies again lately.
Oh, I have to, yeah.
Oh, you have as well?
Yeah, we went from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we got up to the end of Phase 2, Age of Ultron.
Yeah. No, the end of Phase 2 is actually Ant-Man.
I know, but it's not on Stan. Fuckers.
Neither was Incredible Hulk, but I found that anyway.
Oh, we didn't bother with that. Don't count that as canon.
So I've watched everything up to Doctor Strange, so it's only 2 more movies than what you've read, what you've watched. I'm picturing sort of like a Thor and Hulk sort of situation between Derek and the bear.
Like in Ragnarok?
No, I'm thinking more like in the Avengers. You know how they're sort of working together, and then they stop fighting enemies, then the bear being the Hulk sort of character, sort of then turns and mauls Derek at the end.
Right.
So I like the idea that the bear is sort of helping
tentative
out.
Alliance.
Yeah,
while there are enemies around.
Yeah, and other than that, then Derek's got to get the fuck on that bear's back. Otherwise, going to be Chomp Town.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a very good game. 3, 2, 1, click.
I'll let you get away with that.
Drying pit.
Prevalent refuting.
Oh, I think you've got yours up too complex, but all right. Prevalent refuting. So just everyone's refuting something. Maybe this is about Gwyneth Paltrow, since talking Marvel. And you know how she has all sorts of kooky health things.
With the Goop website.
Goop.
Oh, did you hear the bullshit news about that, actually?
I don't really care.
She got a fucking Netflix series.
Oh, fuck
about
off.
Goop.
God damn it, Netflix. Anyway. This is either about, there are two things this could be about. It could be about walking around with something in your armpits.
Yep.
To dry them. Maybe it's the silicate packets out of stuff, since they're readily available. It's put those in your armpits, because the source of all toxins in your body is your sweat glands in your armpits. Everybody knows this. And so you'd have to soak it all up. The other thing I thought of was the pit of a stone fruit that they dry out and do something with. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know where the game is. This is just a dumb fucking idea that they would totally come up with.
Whenever I hear the word pit, I immediately put the word sarlacc in front of that.
Okay.
And drying pit.
It's all about throwing Gwyneth Paltrow into a sarlacc pit.
Well, I'm thinking drying pit. Well, sarlacc pit's in the desert, so therefore, it's rather dry out there. And prevalent refuting, I'm thinking, okay.
See, the refuting made sense with mine. That's how it came. Because,
yeah,
you need to refute that shit. But I do admit that I can't think of an actual game mechanic that would go around that isn't just posting on Facebook.
Boba Fett gets his way out of the sarlacc pit.
Okay.
But everyone in, Mos Eisley, when he finally gets there, refuting the fact that he's actually Boba Fett, because they know for a fact that he went into the sarlacc pit. So he's trying to barter his way off of Mos Eisley by going around and
selling people silicate packets to put in their armpits. And he becomes the next big self-help, health, natural health. Boba Fett's drying pits. Don't let your sarlacc get pity. I don't know.
3 to 1 click.
That was not a good enough pun to 3 to 1 click on, but anyway.
Flush business.
8 million. Okay. A business is flush with 8 million something dollars, I guess, depending on the business. That might not be much, but or maybe they got 8 million. Maybe it's about utilizing 8 million of something that you got for free.
Okay.
In some way.
This doesn't sound too much like a game, but we'll see where we can go with it. There's this company called Toilet Inc., and they realized that
that nobody actually wants ink in their toilets.
Fine, Toilet Incorporated. So they've realized that the current sewer system can only handle 8 million more flushes.
More flushes? Oh, not more toilets on the system, actually more flushes. Okay.
Once there's 8 million flushes of the toilet, then the sewer line's going to completely start backing up and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's going to create a gridlock in the sewer pipes under the city. They're all going to explode at once, and the city's going to sink into a literal shithole. All right.
So come up with something out of that.
So you have to sneak into people's houses and like disengage their toilets somehow. Or
flick them all onto septic tanks so that while they're not looking.
maybe it's just a pipe dreams game. You have to like go into people's houses and just re-hook up all their pipes to the right places. I like the idea. The main idea I like for this is that there could just be there could be a countdown, and every time that counts down, someone's taken a dump.
Yeah, but the countdown's happening pretty fucking fast.
Oh yeah, it would be like it's going down pretty quickly. Maybe this is one of those. Can we come up with a mechanic where it like literally takes a minute to play? Like that's how many people are shitting, obviously, and so this countdown will count down from 8 million in approximately a minute. What can you do in that time? Is it just plunging?
Okay, no, I do kind of like the idea that the pipe dreams mechanic is basically as you go and you're solving these pipe dream sort of puzzles, you're basically giving the city more flushes.
Okay, so it ticks up.
Yeah, because you're fixing some of the problems in the sewer.
That could be interesting. It's like a time limited infinite puzzler almost. Kind
of like
infinite, but like
Crazy Taxi if it was plumbing. Each time that you pick up the next puzzle and you go and solve that puzzle, if you do it like super 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 fast, then you're going to get a couple of million flushes on top of it. But if you take 30 seconds, you'll still only get a couple of million flushes onto it. But it's
well,
like
and I think
you wasted 5 million doing it, and you only get 2 million back.
You can like puzzles might have a simple mode and an advanced mode. Where if you route it a certain way, you're going to increase the number of flashes you get back, but obviously it might be harder to do and take you longer, and so you might completely flush them all away, literally because you took too long to even do it.
Yeah, I don't think there's been too many Twitch puzzlers, things that...
Oh, and it should be in VR. So you're actually like reaching out and rotating pipes.
Ooh.
Like I think they're still I think they're still fixed, although it could be 3D then. It could be that the pipes are on 3 axes instead of just 2. And obviously you can only rotate around one at a time, but
yeah,
that could be cool. Oh, I like that idea now of sort of because is it feces? Like because generally with these puzzler things, sometimes with these puzzle things, when you have this time limit on it, you're seeing it come from one end, and you have to like keep ahead of it. Is there just like some turds coming down the pipe when you start, and you have to like, oh shit, literally shit. Turn it this way. Oh crap! Oh no, crap! Literally as well. It's on my shoe. And then if you fail, there's just this fantastic scene where there's just this rumbling, and then no matter which way you look, there's just shit water coming out of the ground.
I've seen like this really pixelated brown mushroom cloud coming out of like the silhouette of the city.
I'm thinking of VR again. So like you're literally looking around the city and it's just all flying up in the air around you. Manhole covers coming off the ground with, and I'm not thinking pixelated. I'm thinking like nicely sloppy looking chunks of brown goo. All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
Yep.
Ooh, productive fainter.
Repent curve.
The repent curve. Is that like the curve of diminishing returns for how many times you repent on your sins? It's like you only get the first time you repent, it's like you get a lot of benefit for it, but each subsequent time, it's kind of exponentially less, or however that curve goes, asymptotically less, approaching 0.
Yeah.
Okay. And then productive fainter. I mean, that just made me think of somebody fainting for some purpose. Like, that's almost a game mechanic then, is you can faint on command. This is FAINT. So, like, to lose consciousness.
Okay, yep.
So, yeah, I feel like there's something interesting there around forgiveness, repenting for your sins, but then you just go and sin some more. And then next time you repent, you don't quite get as much credit for that repenting.
Okay. What I kind of like is I'm seeing this guy gets sent to like he dies and gets sent to like the afterlife, and they basically say, "Look, you're so close to getting into the good place. We're going to give you time to go back and repent some of your past sins. But there's going to be a catch. Anytime someone asks you where you've been or something like that, you're immediately going to faint."
Okay.
Or it's something around you'll have some powers on Earth, but the only power that you'll actually have is you can faint on command.
You can faint on command. I don't think this one's going anywhere.
Crowded planning.
Witty underground. That just makes me think of like a comedy cellar. So like a place, a dodgy stand-up comedy lounge that's in the cellar under some restaurant somewhere. And what was yours? Something planning?
Crowded planning.
Crowded planning. All right, now I know you don't like business sims, so I won't go towards like building a comedy club, even though there could be something interesting there. Maybe this is more of a narrative character-based thing set in this comedy club. And maybe there's a turning point when there's like a fire, and because of the way it was planned, they could like people died. Could be this dark comedy game. Yeah.
Okay, so what was yours again?
Witty underground. So from that, I'm just taking comedy cellar, but
okay,
I'm taking it in a completely different direction.
I'm sort of taking it in a different direction. Underground being hell.
Okay,
you're coming in, and I, as much as I hate to say this, but I'm sort of going in the management sort of thing way of thinking.
If you're taking it there,
you're the new planner for hell, like the city planner for hell, and so you've got to sort of set each section up of hell, like divide them into the correct torture groups and that sort of stuff, because basically hell's getting overcrowded. There's like too many people there, so you got to organize this better to get through the torture a lot faster. And a lot more efficiently.
I like this. So maybe on Earth you were like an urban planner. And you were pretty good at your job. You still went to hell because maybe you were a prick, I don't know. But you were good at planning things. And so I like this idea then that souls only have to be in hell for as long as like their sins were they're paying for their sins. And then they don't go to heaven. They go to like limbo or second hell or something. I don't know. Nobody knows really. They just, once they've been tortured long enough and efficiently enough, they're gone. So I think part of this is about setting up systems where based on their sins, they go into the right types of torture, which gives you a bit of a tech tree, right? And, there's some just general sorts of torture that will work on everyone, but it will work more slowly, again, depending on their type of sin. And I think you could, in that sort of introductory phase, introduce the different torture chambers, introduce the different types of sins. Maybe you've obviously got you could base it around the 7 deadly sins if you wanted. And so you could, I don't know if it's then just about kind of, this is where the souls come in and, you've got little detection things that are like read your sins and send them in this direction, like almost little logic gates to send them in different paths so they end up in the right place. And just how you can arrange all that.
So where I'm sort of thinking that you could actually sort of go towards as well is, say someone had murdered someone.
Mm-hmm.
An appropriate punishment could actually be the person that you murdered is your torturer.
Okay, so there's also like a matchmaking element.
Yeah. So
Sinder.
I kind of like the idea that, you know, this is one of the paths that you can maybe go down, which is more personalized torture for certain cases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, again, I think those are the sorts of decisions you can make because it costs money or time. Because maybe you do have to hire someone to sit there and swipe left or right on Cinder as the people come in to say, yes, we have the right torturer for you. But that's going to, you have to employ that person. And so, and it's only going to work for specific sin types where there was, a victim of a specific victim of a crime versus just, general crime, white collar crime affecting millions of people or, the other reasons people go into hell. Jaywalking.
Podcasting.
Well, ours probably, yeah.
This one, at least.
Yeah. And our punishment would just be having to listen to it for eternity, I guess.
But that's the thing. We actually like listening to ourselves now, which is something that I didn't like at the start. So
that's true. But yeah, I'm not sure the mechanics are particularly firm, but I think there's some interesting ideas there around how you would match those up and make choices. And I'm very much thinking of it in like a roller coaster tycoon kind of vibe, or I guess like a dungeon keeper or something like that. But I was definitely thinking that sort of isometric, putting down paths, dropping little sprite torture chambers.
I'm
you could probably just about just reskin roller coaster tycoon, and
I'm starting to think that there's actually like sometimes there's like queues for getting into these torture chambers, so you can set up like mini tortures along the way so that they're still being tortured even though they're in a queue.
Yeah, well, and for some people that is the torture, they just don't realize it.
Yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Conceived shouting.
Medieval cleaner.
Oh.
I do like a bit of medieval sort of stuff.
I'm not sure what you were shouting when you conceived your child. No, let's not go down that route.
No.
Medieval cleaner. Yeah, we do some fun stuff with medieval stuff sometimes, and sort of bringing these mundane jobs or careers or tasks into that world.
Yep.
Are we talking fantasy medieval or actual medieval where there was no magic?
So I'm thinking like actual medieval, sort of,
peasants and
all that sort of stuff. So
knights and
I'm picturing that your character has been brought into the king's into the kingdom.
It's gonna be like
as basically like
sort of
a stable boy sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's basically a story about this stable boy, how, his father was a farmer, and he always wanted to be in the city and have a city job. And, his older brother was like a, high up in like the guard or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to sort of come into the city and be like his older brother, and gets in as a stable boy.
All right. So you're thinking this is kind of like an RPG or
like an RPG, but, with just some very mundane, intro sort of stuff. And then like you can gradually build yourself up throughout.
So does this become a combat-based thing, or is it mostly around like job-based, interpersonal stuff?
Job-based,
that
interpersonal.
Could be interesting, actually.
I like the idea that, there's maybe some sort of fight that breaks out, and you get contracted by the kingdom to come and help clean up because you've you've got great cleaning skills that you've shown in the stable.
Yeah, well, I think we could just take it as well, because I kind of just like the idea. I kind of just like the idea in general of like the challenge of creating an RPG without really any combat.
Yeah.
And I think there is some combat, but I think the repercussions for fighting are so high that it really isn't a viable gameplay sort of mechanic.
I'm thinking the sort of stuff is like damage takes a long time to actually heal.
Oh yeah, like real-time damage healing.
Real-time damage healing.
If you get too beaten up, then you're off your feet for a week, and that's lost income there, boy.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. If you kill someone, they're just going to execute you.
I mean, because what I'm loving the idea of is you're in the stable, so you've got the knights coming by and picking up their horses, so you're hearing stories about stuff that's happening on the roads and that sort of stuff. But you also maybe the better that you get, the more that you start having to tend to the king's horse and this sort of stuff.
So
but
you're sort of thinking mostly dialogue choices that are happening while you're doing this job. Is there a mechanic for doing the job itself? Like, how could we make that not be tedious?
I think the way that you do it is you vary some of the missions that you're doing, so you're sort of adding new mechanics as you go. So you've got like at first you got a sweeping mechanic, which you're just trying to clean up the yard, and the quicker that you sort of do it, the more you can move the story along. But then what's happening then is you're sort of getting, okay, now we're getting a brushing mechanic that you're brushing the horse and setting up the bridle properly on the horse, and then you maybe get brought in to do like an escort mission that you're helping tend to a knight's horse.
I just want to be really aware of not getting too tedious with it, obviously. Yeah. But I like the idea of you sort of start to get to know the horses, you start to get to know the riders, like the knights or the guardsmen, or obviously the other people in the stables and in the castle. You can get some real relationship building stuff going there.
Yeah.
With different characters.
Very much so.
Almost a bit of a sort of Stardew Valley-ish, Graveyard Keeper-ish sort of thing, where, and not necessarily to that full-on, the way that sort of builds up over time, and you've got energy, a certain amount of things you can do in a day or whatever. I'm thinking not quite that regimented, but just in that sense of it's all about days passing and events happening and making choices that, will play out later and affect your general character progression.
I'm liking some of the other choices that you can sort of do is, there's side quests of sort of going and purchasing things for the stable from the market, and while you're there, then you get some other sort of relationship sort of things happening, like
for sure, exactly.
You're forming relationships with the vendors there, and you really give everybody a personality, but it's this sort of I like the idea of bringing in this kind of gritty realism of we're all dirt poor and under the foot of the aristocracy or the monarchy, and kind of. You just have people dying all the time. Like, you get a relationship with someone, it's like, they got the plague and died or whatever. God. And that's what happens to your character at the end. You get the plague and you die.
Well, that's one of the endings. In another ending, you get the plague and die a bit later. It's very special. That's the good ending. All right, switch on quick.
Shaking editorial.
Typical service. I think we've done too many restaurant games. I went to because editorial, obviously, I thought of, reviews, something around reviews of restaurants or the service at, maybe not restaurants there, maybe just reviews around service industry.
Okay. What if, I'm not sure whether you've heard of this happening at some places. There's a system called Mystery Shopper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where basically you go into an area, go into a shop. Like if you're a mystery shopper, you get told this is what you're going to buy, and then you're sort of judging each sort of place.
You're
and
judging the
based off of
service
that.
and the
So maybe this is a game of observation skills.
Yeah.
That
Maybe a bit of almost just a visual novel style thing. Well, and the reason I go that way is just because it's sort of around dialogue choices. Because maybe in one of the things, you've been given the goal of trying to make somebody angry.
Okay.
To see how they respond.
I'm going to add a little wrinkle here, and you may not like this.
Okay.
But I really want this to be for some sort of motion controlled system.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea of shaking.
Okay.
But what you actually how you're filling out the form is you've got an Etch-a-Sketch.
Okay.
And so to move things, you're turning the knobs, and that is using the turning the what's it called sticks, the thumbsticks to go either vertical or horizontal. And then if you make a mistake, then you got to clear it by shaking the controller.
So the whole challenge is just in filling out a form.
Filling out a form with an Etch-a-Sketch while also trying to remember the observation
arbitrary limitation.
Well, you wouldn't have wanted my other idea.
What was that?
That the person had Parkinson's.
Oh, God. No.
So that's why I was like Etch-a-Sketch, because then it brings shaking in. And
although there could be an interesting educational experience in VR around your character's hands, like your character having Parkinson's.
Yeah, but how would you actually do that without making it feel like you just got shitty tracking?
Well, I think you could do it a bit better than having it just literally jumping around in space. It's more just you don't have full control over the shakiness, the jiggle of your hands. You could do some interesting physics-based stuff to sort of show the challenge of living with Parkinson's. That could be an interesting kind of story-based thing where you're in the eyes of, of someone with a very difficult disease, but kind of being able to share that experience and make people understand how hard it is, and also how certain, because they have those stabilizing spoons and different things. That could be an interesting. You introduce that, and then all of a sudden, you're able to, do certain tasks that you had previously been shown were impossible. That could be an interesting narrative thing there.
Yeah,
but let's not go too deep into it because, as usual, we're not qualified to write that. Particularly, it is a cool idea.
No.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yes.
Virtual alphabet.
Isolate pain.
Okay. What popped into my head was that medication often has very sort of long and confusing names.
Mm-hmm.
And some sort of game where you're having to throw letters together or put letters together to create a new medication just from the name. But the letters you use determine the effects.
Oh, God.
So you have to put them together in a certain way. But the letter X will target the throat. So if you, create something called Ciproxanil, then, that might be effective. Except, eyes, the letter I decreases efficacy, in pain, pain relievers. So yeah, it's about using the particular letters with these properties and putting them together in a way that the final version of this, the effects of the medication are a direct function of the letters that make up the name of it.
Okay.
So they're almost the molecules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe different letters can, again, you could have
they
bonds.
Cancel each other out. And
yeah, they cancel each other, or their proximity to each other, right? If you put an X and an F next to each other, it creates a different effect, which may be positive or maybe negative depending on other aspects of your word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that could be quite interesting. I'm almost thinking of it as a mobile game.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then having to, basically you've got a goal, right? You have a patient come to you, and they're we need something with these, like, it has to meet these criteria. It has to target this part of the body. It has to give, pain relief, or it has to block serotonin, or it has to, increase the hormone production of a certain hormone. And so you just start throwing things together. You start writing them. And as you do it, I don't know, I wonder if there's some skill-based stuff in there as well to sort of boost how well it works. Do you know what I mean? So maybe you come up with the name of it and then actually putting it together, there's some sort of timing-based something.
Yeah.
And
I can see that.
And so they kind of they either bond more strongly or something, and it means that particular effect is stronger. So that, and I'm just thinking so that you kind of, you don't know for certain how well this is going to work while you're putting the word together, even though you probably need some sort of feedback as you're building the word to how they're sort of playing off each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm liking that.
That'd be really fun to just mess around with those rules. Especially if you end up making it so it really does lean towards, a typical kind of drug names. It could also be not necessarily specific letters. It could be like segments of a letter. So it would be ill or fram or, doxy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's how the different segments interact. I kind of want to build that. It reminds me of one of those really difficult, there's that, what's it called? The alchemy game where you're building molecules with the little machines and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Right. Can I just go into what my mind immediately went to just to see if there's anything there?
Yes. So you've been sitting there as I describe my game.
No. I was literally thinking at the start, because you said virtual alphabet, I just had this idea for this horror game.
Okay.
In which this guy has just got this virtual reality system, and he goes in, and the first game that he sort of plays is something about teaching kids the alphabet.
Okay.
But the alphabet characters that are in this game start haunting his life and haunting his dreams, and start digging into his brain to isolate the pain center. And basically I was just thinking, how you could take that whole idea about this kid friendly sort of game that is just twisted.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting a very, Duck Season vibe.
Yep.
Where it's sort of initially, it feels like you know what this game's going to be.
What this thing is about. Yep.
What I like with the alphabet is maybe when you start, you meet the letter A and it tells you about ants and apples, and there's a little scene that plays out. And then he introduces his friend B, and, B's pretty friendly too. But as it goes along through the alphabet, you start when it gets to E, you start noticing things a little bit off. And then F comes out, and wait, did F just drop an F bomb? Subtly.
And then all of a sudden P turns up and he goes, pain.
Yeah, I think as you're getting on, by the time you get to fucking P, it's full on getting to creepy horror, and you're dreading each character that comes out, each letter. And I think maybe like Duck Season, there's sort of little interludes in between. That's kind of, you learn a bit about the person who you're playing, the character you're playing, and their family or something. I don't know if you're playing it as a kid, like in Duck Season, which I guess would make sense if you're in this VR training, learning center.
Yep.
Maybe it's a multiplayer connected thing as well. Maybe this is the future where, to go to school, kids put on a VR headset and they're in a virtual space with other people. And you literally just see people start getting ripped to shreds.
Oh God.
by the letter Y. Well, that's right at the end, obviously. But
yeah.
And then Z never comes out. To just freak everyone out. By the end, they're like, where the fuck is Z? How are we going to survive Z? And it's not there.
The creepy thing is, you see two N's in the room, and it's is one of them a Z?
Yeah, I like that. Or you're waiting around for Z forever, and then you hit the button to like, or like you do the movement in game to pretend to take off your VR headset, and then there's just a Z in the real world, or like the quotes
Oh,
real
Jesus
world.
Christ.
As you
Don't
take
do
it
that
off.
to me. I'm going to be dreaming about this tonight. But it's literally, you know, you're playing through this whole game, and the final thing you do is you take off the thing, and there's just a Z right in front of you, and it's got a knife that's just about to stab into
It's
your
like
face
an
or something
ominous
like that.
blood red Z. Yeah. It's already spattered with the blood of your family.
I mean, how I actually got to there was back when we used to do Two Sweary Dads. We came up with this idea about these anthropomorphic, like,
Letters. Yeah.
letters that were animals.
I did think of that too, yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I remember rightly, we had kind of, it was in our fucked up TV shows for kids.
It was supposed to be a kids' TV show, yeah.
But like all the like an E was like for elephant, and it was in the shape of like an E sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the actual how far away the characters were from the camera was like all the way in the distance.
Why did we do that?
Because it was fucked up.
You just
And
like,
yeah. But
you just,
I was
this whole
just thinking
thing
about
plays out.
different sorts of ways of like really screwing with people with like shitty camera work and all this sort of stuff.
Right.
And that's how I sort of came up with the horror idea.
That would be interesting. I wonder if anyone's experimented with slowly modifying the depth of field in VR over time. Oh, sorry, not the depth of the field of vision, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess the sort of the zoom and depth of field at the same time to really... it's probably just going to induce simulation sickness, but I like the idea of you stare at something and it subtly changes the way that it's like that you're actually seeing it in VR. Until if you're staring at it so long enough, it does feel like that kind of tunnel vision, like you're so far away, but sort of zoomed in almost, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to to mess with.
God, we're liking, inducing nightmare fuel at the moment.
Oh, I know. Sometimes it's just one of those. It's just one of those weeks.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah.
Reverse fancy.
Ambiguous infringement.
Okay, so I'm thinking this is the reverse of a fancy dress party.
Ooh, what's that? Like a
regular dress party.
A sloppy dress party? Maybe you have to dress like you do if you're at home when no one's around.
Hell
So
yeah,
it's not-
I'd love to go to one of those sort of parties.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as everyone's okay
Tracksuit
with me not
pants.
wearing pants, but so maybe it's that
Underwear, that's how I quite often like to lounge around my house.
Yeah, you go to this sloppy dress party, but there's a lawyer there for I don't know who's a character that like would wear clothes like that. Shit, I don't even know. Never mind. I was trying to get the infringement in there, right?
Yep.
To decide ambiguously whether you'd infringed on someone's copyrighted character or something.
So, okay, what I'm thinking of is if you played, say, a character who is determining whether someone is sloppily dressed enough for the party.
Okay.
So, like,
Just
you're the
like-
host of a party sort of thing.
You've
and-
just got a bottle of tomato sauce there to really slop someone up.
Yeah. And basically
Mustard.
that's anyone who infringes the rules and tries to get a little bit dressed up, you can...
Tear their clothes off. Well, not off, but like
No. Just...
tear them, put a
like-
hole in it.
This doesn't look good. Put a cigarette out on them.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really having trouble tonight.
I know. I had a couple of alright ones, but
Exhaustive herd.
comfortable jet.
Okay. It's a game where you're herding cattle,
Okay. Actual cattle.
actual cattle. But the person who owns the cattle basically puts a limit on how you can actually do it. He doesn't have any horses or dogs or anything like that. But what he does have is like a Harrier jump jet.
You just have to do strategic flybys.
Well, no, the reason why I chose Harrier jump
it's
jet
because it can
is because they can hover and shit.
Yeah. All right, where I was going was more maybe this is about herding airline passengers in cattle class, as it's sometimes called.
Yep.
And yeah, making sure that they all make it on the plane in time.
Okay. And how you get around the airport is with a jetpack. That's how you can get between all these places really quickly.
Okay. We already kind of had jet with the airplane, but if you want a jetpack.
Yeah, I just want a jetpack.
You just want a jetpack. Don't we all? Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, is this literally just like you've got sort of generally very basic AI controlled people who, if you yell, they'll move away from you or something? Like, how are you influencing the flow of people?
You're doing it 2 ways. 3 ways. Number 1, you can yell at them.
5 ways.
Number 2, you can physically manhandle them.
Okay.
Number 3, barriers. So you can put like those little cloth barrier things up.
Number 4, body odor.
Oh God, that's just horrible.
Are you thinking though? So is this around hurting them on a like moment by moment basis, or is it around sort of planning out your airport well enough? Or is it both?
I kind of like the idea, taking the idea of sort of timing-based puzzle mechanics, that you know that, okay, this plane has just come in for landing, so you need to get down to here, set up basically something that is going to get a good flow of passengers coming out of the jet onto to pick up their stuff from around the carousel to then move on to
the correct carousel, yeah.
Yeah. So
to move on to customs
having that idea, and, you know, occasionally you get domestic where they're only going to go to the carousel so they don't have to go to customs. But you've got to be able to like time it so that, okay, this group of people are actually going to go around this long way so that they get to customs after this plane load has actually already gone through.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So you really have to know start to get to know the airports well enough. You can, maybe there are some things that you can like remotely turn on and off escalators and stuff. But some things you do have to physically go there as well to like set up a barrier or, you know, lock a door or something. Because they do that in airports, right? Like often you'll have to walk down one whole side of a, you know, glass wall or something while you see everyone else on the other side because, you know, you can't get into that area because you haven't gone through security or whatever. And so there'd be that aspect too of like secure zones and non-secure zones, and you can't send them through secure zones if they're, you know, haven't been cleared or whatever. Yeah. And then occasionally, you do just get stragglers wandering off. You're like, fuck, what plane were you on? Where do you have to get to? Just like throw them back in the right direction into the flow.
So I kind of like the idea that there's going to be effectively like different colors for different flights. But what you've got to deal with is, okay, the people getting off the plane, they need to get off and move out of the way fully before the new people can move on. You're not waiting for refueling or anything like that. This is but it's more, you've got to make sure that everyone's got off the plane before you can actually start reboarding. Otherwise, you know, you could have people accidentally get left on the plane and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking the idea that, you know, you can have sometimes, depending on the plane, like you can see it. I'm picturing that the screen is sort of separated into like maybe here's a list of planes that are actually coming in and what time they're expected to arrive. The baggage handlers over on this particular plane are having trouble getting the bags off the thing onto the carousel, so you need to delay the passengers a little bit longer to get to the carousel because this other plane load is actually going to come out onto the carousel first.
Right. You don't want to cause chaos with them both looking for their bags at the same time. And one of them's
so the idea of sort of, it's almost queue management while, you know, maybe you can send them through customs now.
Queue management with some herding aspects and some additional kind of wrinkles around the security stuff and maybe their moods and different random events like lost baggage or you know, gate changes because a plane is late and
that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like you've set up this whole path ahead of time, and then you're like, oh, fuck. Like, they're going to be 20 minutes late, so we need to change gates so that it fits with the schedule of these other planes, and you got to redo the whole thing.
I'm sort of thinking almost like a Lemmings sort of interface that you can, like, put like a blocker in place to stop people from moving along.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's sort of like what I was thinking with remotely locking doors or, yeah, like they've got all those travelators, but it's like, oh shit, I need to slow this group down a bit. All right, turn that travelator off. And that's going to take them a bit longer to get down here. Yeah.
Or, we need to move them really, really quickly, so you turn this up to full speed.
You speed it up. Just have them go flying. No, if any kids get on, they just go flying off the end. Yeah. Well,
I'm really liking this idea.
Yeah.
It's one of the better ones tonight.
Yeah. All right, shall we try for one more quick one? And
yeah, one more quick one.
End on a high note. Acceptable rope.
Beat bathroom.
2 E's or an EA?
EA.
Oh, the beat bathroom. Bow, 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 bow. Rhythm game.
Yep.
Soap on a rope.
Yep.
It's all about washing your body in time with the music. In a very high fidelity, detailed, sexy men and women lathered up.
I mean, what I'm sort of seeing in my head is, remember that game that was basically set in like a gym or something like that, and you had to match the kids with their dads?
Oh yeah, Shower with Your Dad Simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was definitely thinking of that. There's also another one that actually was in really high fidelity of people showering, and I don't remember what that is, but it got taken off Steam, which is shitty because it wasn't made to just be titillating, right? It was the whole point was there was sort of a message behind it. Rinse and Repeat, it was called.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so Beat Bathroom. I do like the idea of it being a rhythm sort of game. I do like the idea of soap and a rope.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if there's a way that you can do it that isn't so like
taboo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could just not show the dirty bits or not be explicit about it. I guess it's how does the gameplay work? Like, is it literally around scrubbing different parts of your body to the beat or something? Like, what? Is it a VR game?
Good question.
Does it turn into a porn game?
Quick, one more.
Yeah.
Superior enhancement.
Nuts exploration.
Okay.
Bionic Squirrel.
Yep, Bionic Squirrel. Exactly where I was going.
Thanks for joining us this week on Pistol.
No, we can go a little bit further.
Okay. Let's. I don't know. I think it writes itself, but let's dig in a bit. Yeah. Okay. I could see, and we've done a squirrel game before, but that was a bit more of a puzzle Metroidvania. This, I think, is a bit more of an exploratory third-person platformer, maybe.
Yeah. I like that.
Or like open world. Well, not. I mean, I think they look like a squirrel. Yeah, but they're anthropomorphic in that. Yes, they have personality and such.
Yes.
And can talk. But yeah, I think maybe early on, this squirrel gets in an accident.
Okay.
It's a bit of a RoboCop vibe sort of thing, except not necessarily for killing, but more for nut collection. But as they go, they can get upgrades to like jump really high or, fit more nuts in their cheeks. Or, I don't know, what does fucking squirrels do? Run faster? Squeak louder?
I do like the idea of this being a bionic squirrel. So it's basically like the $6 million man, except it's a squirrel. So I'm just trying to think that the squirrel's main idea is to collect nuts for the winter, but it's been sent on missions by the government.
By the government? Is it the real government or the squirrel government?
I'm thinking it's sort of like, you know how Lee Majors was sent out on doing things in The Bionic Man or the $6 Million Man.
I never watched it, but yeah, go on.
Either way, I'm picturing that the squirrel's been sent out to do these same sort of missions, which is like, I know at one stage he was sent out to fight Bigfoot, and Bigfoot was actually turned out to be like a
wait, the Bionic Man was?
Yeah.
Oh. You there? Oh, fuck. Balls, balls, balls. I lost you right at the end of the show. Right at the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. That's got all of our stuff there. There's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's other stuff. Our actual website is on there too. You can go view all our creator pages and that sort of stuff. I'd like to thank the folks at the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. They're good friends of ours. And there's a lot of great shows on there. You can find them at the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook or AGP Network on Twitter, or follow hashtag AGPN. And finally, I would like to thank Dust for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure. So, thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger. Trevor Scott has lost power. And let's get some nuts going on.